The Galactic Council chamber fell into stunned silence as the sensor data scrolled across the holographic displays. Commander Zixthor of the Valkyrian Imperium stared at the readings, his three eyes blinking in rapid succession, a sign of profound distress among his kind. "This cannot be accurate," he whispered, his translator unit barely catching the words. "Run the diagnostics again." The human representative, Ambassador Sarah Chen, sat calmly in her designated pod, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. She had been waiting for this moment for 3 standard cycles, ever since the Council had demanded humanity prove its worthiness to join the greater galactic community. "The readings are correct." "Commander," replied the synthoid operator, its mechanical voice devoid of emotion. "The object approaching the designated testing zone measures 47 kilometers in length, with a mass equivalent to a small moon. Energy signatures are unprecedented. Council member Thraxis, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, pulsed an angry crimson. The human agreed to send a warship for evaluation. Not a dreadnought. Not a world ender." Sarah finally spoke, her voice carrying clearly through the translation network that connected all 600 species present. "With respect, Council member, we sent exactly what was requested. The UESS Indomitable is classified in our fleet as a heavy cruiser." The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates from 100 worlds began shouting simultaneously, their words creating a cacophony that the translation systems struggled to parse. The Valkyrian commander slammed his appendage against his console, calling for order. "A cruiser?" Zixthor's voice cracked with disbelief. "Ambassador Chen, our entire Imperial fleet's flagship is 8 kilometers long and requires the economic output of 3 worlds to maintain. You're telling this council that humans consider a 47-kilometer abomination to be a mere cruiser?" Sarah pulled up her own display, projecting it for all to see. The sleek, angular form of the Indomitable rotated slowly in the hologram, its hull bristling with weapon systems, shield generators, and propulsion arrays that dwarfed anything the council had encountered. "The Indomitable is actually one of our older designs," she explained patiently. "She's been in service for nearly 30 years. Our newer Titan-class vessels are substantially larger." A high-pitched keening sound emerged from the Quilaxian delegate's translator. Among their species, it signified existential terror. "How?" The question came from Ambassador Reith, whose people had been spacefaring for over 10,000 years. "How does a species achieve spaceflight and within mere centuries construct vessels that dwarf our greatest achievements?" Sarah leaned back, considering her response carefully. The truth was both simple and complex, and she knew it would either earn humanity respect or condemnation. "Necessity," she said finally. "Earth is not a kind world, Ambassador Reith. Our gravity is 0.37 standard, higher than 80% of Council worlds. Our star bombards us with radiation that would sterilize most inhabited planets. Our atmosphere is corrosive oxygen. Our oceans are salty enough to poison most species, and our biosphere evolved in constant brutal competition." She stood, her movements fluid despite the chamber's lighter gravity. "We didn't just adapt to survive, we thrived. We learned to build bigger, stronger, faster. When we reached for the stars, we brought that same philosophy with us. Why build a ship when you can build a fortress? Why create a weapon when you can create a deterrent so overwhelming that war becomes unthinkable?" Commander Zixthor accessed his historical database, his expression growing more troubled. "Your species achieved nuclear fission, faced potential extinction, and instead of destroying yourselves, you controlled it. Weaponized it, then moved beyond it entirely." "We did," Sarah confirmed. "Because the alternative was death. Earth taught us that survival requires strength, cooperation, and the willingness to face impossible odds." The synthoid operator interrupted, its voice urgent. "Council members, the human vessel has arrived at the testing zone. They are requesting permission to demonstrate capabilities as originally agreed." All eyes turned to the main display, where the Indomitable hung in the darkness of space like a metallic predator. The test target, an uninhabited planetoid designated for destruction, appeared tiny by comparison. "This is madness," Thraxis pulsed. "That vessel could crack a world." "Yes," Sarah agreed simply. "It could, but it won't. Because humanity learned something else on Earth, something just as important as strength." She paused, letting her words carry weight. "We learned restraint. We learned that power without wisdom leads only to ruin. The Indomitable began its demonstration. First came the point defense systems, lasers, and kinetic interceptors that created a sphere of protection around the vessel that nothing short of a stellar mass projectile could penetrate. Then the main weapons, fusion lances that carved through the planetoid's crust like a knife through water, followed by graviton disruptors that pulled the fragments into neat, organized debris fields rather than scattering them as hazards. But it was the final display that truly silenced the Council. The Indomitable extended its shield generators, creating a protective bubble large enough to encompass 3 Earth-sized planets. Then it activated its terraforming drones, swarms of nanomachines that could reshape atmospheres and reconfigure hostile environments into habitable paradises. "You see," Sarah said softly as the demonstration concluded, "we built ships that could destroy worlds because we came from a world that tried to destroy us. But we also built them to protect and preserve, because Earth taught us that survival means more than just fighting. It means knowing what's worth fighting for." Commander Zixthor sat in silence for a long moment, processing what he had witnessed. Finally he spoke. "The Council will need time to deliberate on humanity's application." Sarah nodded, understanding. "Take all the time you need, Commander. We'll be here. After all," she smiled, "we're very good at being patient. Earth taught us that too." As the session adjourned, delegates filed out in hushed conversation, repeatedly glancing at the data streams showing the Indomitable peacefully maintaining its position, a sleeping giant that humanity had created not out of aggression, but out of an indomitable will to survive and to help others do the same.